Hello everybody, this is Kiana Mayfield from LibraLunaCenter.com and happy Venus out of retrograde direct now today, everybody. So Venus has been in retrograde since March 4th and it just went direct today, but it is in Pisces, conjuncting Chiron and square to Saturn. So is this a hurrah aspect? Sort of, but there is also a realization that in order to get the things we desire, in order to attain the things that our soul is our soul's reason for this retrospection period, the reason why we had to go through the Venus retrograde was because we were not in touch with our divine femininity. We were not in touch with our soul nature, the part of ourselves that is connected to the universal flow. And the realizations that have spanned across March and April have led us back to this heart center, have led us back to our soul. And it can feel like a homecoming aspect, but it's also hard because you realize how much of your current reality is out of alignment with your soul aspect, how much your current reality is mismatched to who you really are. And it could feel kind of depressing. But depression in and of itself is a signal that allows us to return to who we are at the center, to realize that nothing in the outside world, no relationship, no project, no amount of money is ever going to make you feel abundant. Nothing of this material realm is going to feel or fill your soul. It's going to fill your wholesomeness. It can never replace who you truly are. And so Venus retrograde has been uncovering that in all sorts of different ways. And we just got out of a Sun conjunction to Uranus in Aries, which occurred on April 13th, last Thursday, or this last Thursday. And this aspect was us realizing that we do not have to stay where we are. We do not have to stay who we are. We can upgrade. We can level up. We can ascend to a higher frequency. We are not bound to one frequency or another in any stretch of the imagination. Sun conjunct Uranus is a portal into all sorts of new arrays, new bands of frequencies that you can choose which one you want to live on. You do not have to stay bound to the Saturnian realm that you've grown up to believe that you must, that you're limited to. And Sun conjunct Uranus is also a wake-up call. And it's interesting that it happened before Venus went direct, because now that Venus is direct, our emotional bodies, our feelings, what we desire is changing. It is evolving. And Venus began its new cycle when Venus retrograde was conjunct the Sun in Aries, March 25th. That's when the new Venus cycle was seeded, because Venus was closest to Earth in that time. And it was allowing us to review who we truly are. It was in Aries, what we truly desire. and if our reality is matching up to that or not. And so you can think of a new Venus cycle as being similar to, in the lunar phases, a new moon, right? It's a seed being planted. And the culmination will happen during the full moon, correct? And so Venus will be behind the sun for the next 9 months. It's going to go through a birthing process. It's the gestation period of the human female, right? 9 months. And it will catch up to the sun in Capricorn, January 8th, 2018. And that's when we'll see the full culmination of whoever we're becoming right now. Whatever our new desires are, whatever our new feelings are, what we are generating today, right now, as Venus comes direct. We're in a completely new space, we're completely new people, and we're healing the parts of ourselves that have been neglected. And this next 9 month gestation period will be living into that and allowing it to, preparing for the culmination period, which will happen January 8th, 2018. I won't go into that right now because it's pretty far away, but I wanted to talk about what's going on this next week from April 17th to April 23rd, 2017. So this is a big period of decision making, of stepping into new chapters, because Venus has come direct, has come back online. It's not the final decision, but it is like the steps required are going to take some time because Mercury is still retrograde in Taurus, so there's a lot of new processing going on, and it hasn't even conjuncted the sun yet, but it will happen later this week, which will be us a reset of our values in some way, a reset of what we truly want, a reset of how we're going to go about attaining it, and a reset of how we've been thinking up to this point, because our minds have been kind of distorted. I think a lot of us have misjudged our situations. A lot of us have misjudged the relationships that we're in. A lot of us have, especially on the masculine front, the feminine is going through a rebirth process. And when that happens, it's almost like we're in a cocoon, right? And due to the repression of the femininity, of the divine feminine, these last few thousand years on planet Earth, a lot of the masculine nature does not know how to respond to the femininity being reborn, right? And so, as Venus is square to Saturn and conjunct Chiron, you can feel, the feminine force can feel abandoned by the divine masculine. It can feel misunderstood, but connected at the same time, spiritually, maybe not necessarily physically, but it is in Pisces, which is in its exaltation. And it's already gone over this aspect 2 times, right? Conjuncting Chiron, it's healing the part of us that feels abandoned. It's healing the part of ourselves that feels like we'll never be able to heal, we'll never be able to move on, we'll never feel right, something's wrong with us, right? And as we come into Monday, the sun will be trining Saturn. So I believe a lot of us are stepping into our power, stepping into a more stable energy. We're not, we've been through a lot. We've been through the underworld. Venus was in retrograde, and Mercury is in retrograde, and Jupiter is in retrograde. Saturn's in retrograde, and Pluto is about to be retrograde. And so we're going through this underworld aspect of our lives where everything that we thought was dealt with is not dealt with. We're figuring out, right? And so we're coming to the point where it's like, I've had enough of this, and I'm ready to move on to the next chapter of my life. I'm ready to ascend to a higher level. I'm ready to live my life the way I want to live it, instead of waiting for something to give me the chance to live it, you know? And that was what the Sun conjunct Uranus was about. But Sun trying to Saturn retrograde is asking us to step into it, to step up to the plate, asking us to make sure that this new self is a part of our day-to-day reality. We're actually taking the steps to get to the level we need to be at. We see the future, we see this new persona, we see that we have the potential to live into it. Now it's all about integrating it within our day-to-day reality so that it can slowly build momentum over time, slowly build strength, and we become the author of our own lives. And it's not necessarily about doing the easy thing, right? There's all sorts of easy ways out of taking responsibility for our lives, right? We think this relationship will be the way to solve our problems. This new project, this amount of money will be able to save me from my life situation. But Venus retrograde was highlighting that that's not the case. You have to be the one. Your soul has to be the one to take the reins of your life. And you have to live within that integrity if you ever want to feel fulfilled. And the Sun trine Saturn is clarity. It is realizing that good things take time. What we truly value may not be readily available, but it is something we can begin to live into. It is something we can work towards, you know. The way we've been up to this point, the question to ask is if we believe we even deserve what we truly want. If we believe our behavior has been matching things that we truly want to allow them to come into our lives. If we believe that we are ready for it. And Venus going direct, squaring Saturn, is saying, no, you're never going to feel that way. You're never going to feel like you're ready. You're never going to feel like you're enough to be able to allow these new higher aspects of reality to come into your life. But despite that, you can begin to move towards it, right? You don't have to be chained to how you feel. You can ascend by sheer, I don't want to say willpower, because that's limited, but by sheer belief, I suppose. Saturn is in Sagittarius, and if you have faith, if you believe that things will work out the way they need to work out, that is in your best interest, that is in the highest alignment, as long as you move towards the things that you want, despite however you may feel, despite all your doubts, despite feeling like you don't have enough money, or you're not good enough for this relationship, or nothing's going to play out right. As long as you do have faith, as long as you do hold the belief that things will turn out right in the end, no matter how murky it may seem right now, that is when you know you're on the right path. The correct path is the path you're most terrified to walk down. Sun conjunct Uranus was highlighting that. And the more terrified you feel, the more growth you will see if you take that path. If you allow yourself to travel down that path despite your fear. Because fear is just the negative interpretation of excitement, right? It's just energy. As long as it enlivens you, then you know there's something there that is correct for you. So, on Tuesday, between Tuesday and Wednesday, we have the sun on the last degree of Aries, 29 degrees, and it's going to be squaring the moon in Capricorn, the third quarter square. And these two aspects, the sun will be sextiling over to something. I forgot. But there will be a yod pointing towards the north node in Virgo. And this will be as we prepare to go into the month of Taurus, right? This is the final ascension of ourselves, right? This is the final big question. Is this path going to lead me to the healthiest place in my life? What's going to make me a better human being overall, right? Sun conjunct Uranus is, you can be whoever you want to be, as long as you're your true authentic self. That is what we're all learning to do as human beings. Uranus is the planet that connects us to the heavens. It's the planet that connects us to the greater galaxy. It connects our solar system to the galaxy, right? The brotherhood of the galaxy. And if we are not being who we truly are, we can't really be a member of anything, right? And so, between Tuesday and Wednesday, the big question for us will be, are we heading towards a path that is purifying who I am? Is it making me a better human being overall? Or is it not? Is it just a distraction? Is it just an excuse to stay exactly where I am? Because the old reality sucks. The old reality isn't working anymore. And this is the last month that the North Node will be in Virgo. It will be in Leo by May, right? And this is really us opening up our heart centers. This is really us having the courage to express who we truly are, to have the lions roar, We are having the courage to roar like the lion from our heart space. And before that happens, North Node in Virgo is asking us to purify this heart center, because for several years now, our heart has not been pure. It's been clouded by all sorts of karmic issues and attachments and things that are not personal necessarily. Things that are connected to our karmic sensitivities, maybe even ancestral issues, subconscious influences that are keeping you in this sort of womb that you feel like you can't escape. But at the same time, we're comfortable here because it's all we've ever known. That's the South Node in Pisces, right? We're in this dream. We feel like we're asleep, and we're comfortable in the dream because we're surrounded by everything we've ever believed that was, correct for us. We believed was true. The illusion of Neptune, right? And the North Node in Virgo is asking us to master ourselves. Virgo is the sign of mastery. It is the sign of servanthood. Catch 22, right? Servanthood to the universe. Servanthood to the white brotherhood of mankind, right? We're trying to come into the age of Aquarius where we're part of this collective. We're part of this group initiative where everyone is connected and everyone is family, and the world is just seen as this one big home, giant family. We're not there yet because we still have all this karmic baggage stuff that's saying we're not connected, that's saying we need to live in this little dream bubble, otherwise, we'll die, or, some type of Pisces delusion where nothing's really harming us, but we believe it will harm us. The things we tell ourselves that keep us from becoming the masters of ourselves, that keep us in this victim mindset that says you will never be more than where you are now. And Virgo is the initiate into the pyramid of the white brotherhood, which comes in Libra. The white brotherhood of the group consciousness comes in Libra. But Virgo is the purification of the self to allow yourself to enter into the pyramid. That's the only way you're going to be allowed into the sacredness of the pyramid, is if you purify yourself. Let go of all of your old baggage and become the master of your mind, body, and soul. And this is the last month to do that before we come into our heart space in Leo. So, Mercury is retrograde in Taurus, and it will, as the sun comes into Taurus on Thursday, April 20th, Mercury and the sun will conjunct, right? Mercury will it will make a conjunction because it will be in the middle between the sun and earth. That is called an inferior conjunction, right? So that is when Mercury is closest to the earth, is when it's making, is when it's retrograde and conjuncting the sun. That's when it's closest to earth. And so this will be us, yes, resetting our values. It will be us something will be downloaded into us. It's Taurus, so it's going to be felt in the body. I would really pay attention on Thursday, April 20th, to your gut instincts, because something is going to be downloaded into us that's going to point the way towards where we really need to pay attention to, where we really need to go. And it's going back over old territory. A few hours later, after the inferior conjunction between the sun and Mercury, Mercury will go back into Aries. And so this is us looking for new inspiration. It's coming back into its Promethean cycle. So it's looking for new ideas in old territory, new perspectives, right? We thought we dealt with these things, but we're having a completely new outlook. We're looking at it from a new angle, right? And we're seeing its true potential. On the same day, Pluto will go retrograde. So whatever decision we've made, it doesn't have to be an outright decision, but it will be like a heartfelt knowing of what's correct for you and where you really need to get going, right? Whatever the case may be for you by that time, Pluto retrograde is going to allow you to strip back anything that is not in alignment with that. It's going to catapult you into the power of this new chapter. Because Pluto retrograde is getting even deeper than Pluto direct. It's cutting back the skin that is the distraction. It is cutting back the bare bones of any situation, the bare bones of what is really, truly, authentically aligned with your soul. And anything that is being basically duct taped to make it seem like it can be aligned with my soul, maybe I'll just see, right? No, you can't. You can't play that game anymore, and Pluto retrograde will completely eradicate and destroy whatever is not sustainable on a spiritual level. So, yeah. This can be us changing our minds about things we thought we dealt with things we thought were had no potential to them, right? Aries is the potential of a new life, the potential, the new seed idea, right? And Mercury returning to this place while Pluto's retrograde, it's looking at things with new eyes. It's looking at things with a new perspective. It's looking at the true we're looking at the true value of what's in front of us to see if are these decisions we're making, are they connected to who we truly are, or are they connected to our fear? Are they connected to our old karmic patterns that have encased us in this womb, that have encased us in this victim mentality? And Mercury and Aries will be reigniting something that we thought was lost. So between now and May 3rd, which is when Mercury goes direct, there can be a lot of reconciliations. There can be a lot of old elements coming back, coming renewed, transformed back into your life. It can be. There's still a lot of retrograde energy, and there's still a shadow phase that we need to go through, right? Because we'll be covering old ground again. Venus may be direct now, but it's not out of its shadow period until about May 18th. So it's coming back over the areas we've been looking at for the past month, right? For the past 40 days. Also on April 20th, Mars will be on the last degree of Taurus. And this is also like a turning point. It's also, it's also, it's like at the precipice of a cliff. You know, we've been doing all this building in our lives. We've been building the foundations for the new chapter that's preparing to come in May. We've been rebuilding our self-esteem and self-value and our skill sets, and preparing ourselves, preparing our talents, gifts, and abilities for the new opportunities that are to come, that we need to build in order to take the opportunities at hand, right? And so it will be on the last degree. Mars will be on the last degree of Taurus, and it will be sextiling Venus and Pisces. So that's a positive aspect. It's allowing us to break new ground in our relationships and our projects and our financial situations. And the next day, on Friday, Mars will enter Gemini, and this will be us basically jumping into a new story. We have the taste of freedom. Gemini's freedom, right? It is the taste of the new journey that's ahead of us. It's also squaring the nodes, so it's like it's connecting with the things that are going to be a part of our destiny. And it'll be a time, especially with Mercury, which is the ruling planet of Gemini, in retrograde in Aries, it'll be a time to talk things out. It'll be a time to reach out and reconnect, because Mercury's retrograde, so it's reconnecting with things that we thought were dead, that we thought we had no potential, but we're looking at the new potential because we've changed who we are. We've come through this underground cycle of Venus, and Mercury's going over it now. And Mercury will come back to Uranus later on, which will be a big revelation and a big epiphany. But later on in the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, on the 21st, between the 21st and the 23rd, Venus will square Saturn a final time. And this is the final cut. The final cut between the old life and the new life. You've seen what it is you truly value. You've seen what it is you truly love. And though you may feel like you're not ready for the new life, though you may feel terrified of what's on the other side, because it may look weird, Venus is conjuncting Chiron, right? Even though it may ultimately be the very thing that heals you and gets you to the next cycle of your life that upgrades who you are. Side, right, of the other side of the picture, it may still feel like something's wrong. It may still feel like it's just so much work. There's just so much work involved. There's so much you have to do. You can overanalyze the situation, right? But as I mentioned in a previous video, Venus square Saturn is all about recognizing the true spiritual value of things, especially because Venus is in Pisces, right? What's really going to get you on the right path in your life? What's really going to be something that nourishes your soul and your spirituality and connects you back to your heart center before we go into the North Node in Leo? You want to be really sure about that, and you want to be really you want to bear in mind that the things that are worth all of these brilliant things, these opportunities that they could bring into your life, it's worth the wait, right? It's worth the hard work. It's worth whatever blood, sweat, and toil it may cost, right? Because you can't get anything for free. In this reality, not in the earth realm, we have to work for the things that are worth it, right? We have to work for the good life. And so with Venus direct squaring Saturn, we're working through our sensitivity, we're working through the karma, we're healing the old wounds, we're healing the part of ourselves that is fearful of the change. And this is basically a leap of faith. It's basically, okay, this is where I'm going. I can't let the parts of myself that are unclean determine where I'm going to go in my life, how far I'm going to go in my life. And the sun in Taurus trining the North Node will be emphasizing this aspect even more. Because now we're building this new chapter. We're building this new life. Taurus builds, right? Taurus manifests. It is the entrance into the physical realm. It is the first earth sign. And trining the North Node, while this is the last stages of the North Node in Virgo, it is dealing with the last unclean elements of our lives. It is building the new destiny. It is stepping into it fully, especially with Mars in Gemini squaring the nodes. And with that, it's also the action you take. Mars squaring the nodes, the action you take is going to be imperative to where you're actually going to go. You can't just sit back and wait for things to kind of manifest in front of you. You have to be the one to take the action, right? You have to be the one to maybe reach out. You have to be the one to finally launch the project, you know? You have to be the one to finally cut the relationship that's not working out. You have to be the one that takes the action towards the life you want. You can't wait for it to just fall into your lap, because that's just playing back into the South Node victim role in Pisces, right? So even though there's a lot of retrograde energy in the sky right now, and that's not going to change until May into June, right? No. We have to work through our sensitivity. We have to work despite not knowing how anything will turn out. We have to make the moves. We have to keep going. And we have to have faith that things will turn out the way they're meant to turn out. And this is the prelude to an entirely new chapter in our lives, one that we never even imagined we'd be able to step into, which will be in May. And with Venus back online in its morning star phase, the divine feminine aspect of all of us, not just women, but in everyone, because we are all both masculine and feminine, right? We're all both polarities. The divine feminine is re-arising from the ashes. It's re-arising from the dead. It's waking up, right? And the way we deal with relationships, the way we deal with projects, the way we deal with money, the way we love ourselves and other people has completely shifted, and we cannot settle for anything less than what we truly are. We have to be the initiates, the masters of our own body, minds, and souls. We have to be living in our godliness, right? And And there's also a new moon next week, which we'll go into later in the week. A new moon in Taurus, which will be setting the intention for this entirely new chapter as it rules Venus, right? Because Venus has a lot to do with this new life we're building, this new self we're creating. So, thank you very much for watching, and thank you to all the people who subscribed yet again. I know the last video I posted, the quality was very bad, so I have this microphone that I'm using. Hopefully you guys can hear me better, and I will strive to improve these videos as we go along, but I'm really excited for this new chapter we're all coming into. I'm really excited for the new people we're becoming. I'm very excited to be sharing all this information with you guys, and I'm looking forward to getting to know each and every one of you even more. So, thank you for watching, and have a good week.